How's everyone doing? Come on. CrikeyCon 9. That's kind of a big deal for us. It's our ninth time doing this, and we're still here again. So thanks to all of you for coming. Thanks to the people in the hall that are still shuffling in. We're going to start this morning just with a little bit of context and history around CrikeyCon that Glenn's going to help give, and then we'll get into the talks proper and the rest of the day. Yeah, we can start with the acknowledgement of country.
Important.
Yeah, absolutely. So most of you will have heard this, maybe some of you haven't, depending on where you're from, but we want to start today with an acknowledgement of country. For those that aren't from Brisbane, because we know we've got a lot of interstate visitors today too, which is amazing, we just want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands that we're on today, and that's the Turrbal people on the north side of the river and the Yagara people on the south side of the river, and we want to pay our respects to elders past and present. And we'd also like to extend that to anyone that's with us in the audience or at the event today.
Welcome to CrikeyCon. It was actually, as Wade reminded me, our 10th birthday this year. So the first one of these was in 2014. It obviously triggers our OCD as much as everyone else. This is CrikeyCon 9 in our 10th year. We skipped 2 years. I've tried various different number bases to make this work, but next year is our 10th birthday. We'll fudge the numbers again then. So this is a shot from the upstairs room at the Polish Club over in Milton, which was our first gig. And I think we had 60 tickets and about 68 people in total. So I think possibly between the women's dinner and about the first 5 minutes of pre-reg yesterday, we had more check-ins than the original CrikeyCon. So thank you all for coming. So, yeah, thanks, Darley. So the story of CrikeyCon was essentially, I think Wade and I were propping up the bar at OzCert one year, and he was like, we should run a con. I'm like, sounds cool, sounds like hard work, let's not. And then we had this conversation repeatedly, and eventually he said, so I've got a crew together, we're running a con, are you in? I'm like, of course I'm in. It goes without saying. So here we are. So yes. The first CrikeyCon, like I say, was at the Polish Club, so we had a really great program. I'm hoping to get some of these people back for the birthday party next year. We ran the whole thing off our credit cards, and it cost a lot less than it does now to run CrikeyCon then. So there's kind of our little, my much lampooned and hated spreadsheet of Chaos Monkey budgeting is captured here in all its colourful glory. We accidentally made a profit. So we were like, well, what should we do with that? So we decided at that point to give it away to some charities, and that really became part of the DNA from CrikeyCon from then on. So our current kind of list of charities we've supported includes the Indigenous Literacy Foundation, Yalari, Backpack Beds for the Homeless, Western Suburbs Special School, Act for Kids, Women's Shelter on the north side, Little Lives, Stand By You, and there have been others. But so far in the life of CrikeyCon, we've managed to donate over $125,000 to local charities, which we're pretty proud of. And it makes it a lot easier to run a volunteer gig with blood, sweat, and tears when everyone knows that there's no one making anything out of this. Anything we accidentally end up with, Chaos Monkey budgeting, we give away. So there we go. And thanks to you guys, and thanks to our sponsors for that, because that coin is not us, that coin is you guys and all of our supporters. So what we discovered last year was there were a lot of new faces in the room. So I wanted to get a bit of an idea of what's happening in our demographic these days. We have, I think last year we hit 806 tickets. This year we have gone about 951. Tantalizingly close to 4 figures, but not quite there. But I'd love to know...
Next year.
Can you put your hands up if this is your first CrikeyCon?
Oh, wow.
Like, okay. And how many are sort of Queenslanders and Brisbaneites? If you could put your hand up if you're interstate. I'll throw that curveball. Awesome. Or international. Keep your hands up. Woo! And the nature of Brisbane is that we get a lot of different characters and faces. So I'd love to get an idea of, how many of you are in the industry already? How many are looking to break into the industry? Awesome. How many are hobbyists? And you can interpret that any way you choose. And I'm sure there's some steel toe caps around somewhere, so watch yourselves. And clearly I'm an old dog. How many are new to the game? Let's say, how many under 21s are there? And how many new to the industry? Fantastic. This is brilliant. This is exactly what we hoped it would become. So yeah, thank you all for coming. And in that, there is no con without contributors. So an enormous thanks to the people that make this possible. And first and foremost, those are the actual people that come up on stage, not the idiots like me. So our workshops, presentations, all of the cool events going on next door, we decided to double down and go with the other hall as well. So we have a whole bunch of cool stuff in that track. We've done training in the past, we did workshops last year and that worked really well. So we've got workshops and longer form talks going on in 3 of the meeting rooms directly opposite here. So come and check those out. Some are hands-on, some are more just kind of more space for demos and bits and bobs like that. So more intimate space. And we've had a mantra of not having a multi-track conference because I hate having, somebody up against Mark Dowd is not something I ever wanted to replicate. So it's that kind of jam, but we do have this kind of now different stuff is happening in different spaces to make more room for everyone. We cannot do this without our sponsors. They contribute 50% of our revenue. And we followed kind of the CrikeyCon model there. We don't do a hell of a lot. There's no vendor halls. We say to our sponsors, you can come along and enjoy the show. There's no booth bunnying. There's no having to stand there handing out business cards. It's come and enjoy the show. But as a result, we must, call them out as much as we can to say thank you so much for doing this because that enables us to run the show and also to continue with our mantra of donating. Thanks very much to my cohort, the crew, the sleuth. If you don't know, a group of bears is a sleuth, so we are the Droppies sleuth. And thanks to you lot. Yeah. Like without the faces in the crowd, I would just be on stage talking to an empty room. I think that's the standard comedian's gambit. But specifically on the sponsors, we've been hugely privileged to have both .sec and Queensland Government return as platinum sponsors this year, so please give them a big shout. It's a significant amount of money. Again, returning sponsors, we've got Securo back, Volkis back, Devicey back, CyberSec people are back as well, so again, like a massive thank you. None of this is cheap, and without this money, it would be very hard for us to do it, and it is a pretty thankless task sponsoring us because we're not the most organized crew on the planet. So please give a shout out for our gold sponsors. And again, Decipher Bureau have been with us since the very early days. D5 helped build this, Division 5 helped build this in the early days as well and have continued to support us all the way through. And Sidearm making a first appearance, and also Mike is here with his history of espionage and spycraft, which is awesome, so go and check it out. Proper gear, real special stuff, and he's got a workshop, not a workshop, he's got a room over there to talk about that and show you some cool ciphers. And that really sparked me at the Security Secure Day because he is helping us build our collective history. So we're such a young industry and such an evolving one to understand where we came from, to understand the lockpicking that CCX is doing next door, for example, to understand those mentalities of open source, closed source, full disclosure, all of these things to understand what is now happening in our digital realm is all built on physical spycraft and physical espionage and ciphers from the past. So big shout out for our silvers, sorry. And our supporters as well, aside from the crew that volunteers so much time, we have others that are contributing a significant amount of time and effort and vicariously cash. So CCX running the lockpicking, Village and workshops, OzHack have constantly supported us and they've got a stand outside so you can get some gear from them, have a good old chat. Payatu have come on board this year, and I've probably pronounced it wrong, so I'm sorry. And Pentester Labs have consistently, we say, hey, Louis, can we have a voucher? And he gives us like a bucket load, and doing a workshop as well this year. So again, thank you so much to all the supporters. Tinkerink as well, I should have their slide on here, but the accessibility stand, Christine and Aki running that, again, they've been a massive part of this conference since the beginning, and we're hugely grateful. So final shout out for that crew, please. And we'll have missed ones off, but there is an increasing community of community-driven cons, as well as our friends at places like OSCERT, who have fundamentally built this community for the last, I've been here 21 years, and that whole time this has grown and built, and I love it. So, and there's quite a few fellow organizers in the crowd who are lavishing themselves on the fact they're not up on stage today, so check these crews out, and if you're missing, please let me know and we'll put your logo up there. And on that note, as my mouth dries up completely, on with the show.
He's
Thank
done.
you for coming.
Round of applause for Glenn.